Hello friends, welcome to VFX Pipeline channel, and in this video we will see how we can create custom user interface inside Blender software. And I'm going to use Qt and PySide2 for creating some cool custom user interface for Blender 2.8. So you haven't downloaded 2.8, no problem, you go to blender.org and just download the latest version. At this time when I'm making this video, Blender 2.80 is the latest one, and the interface is really awesome. I really impressed with the new interface and the overall Blender performance. So we'll see all these things in this video. We'll start from very basic and complete our tool, and I'm going to show you the final product in the beginning. Before I start, please guys, if you haven't subscribed to VFX Pipeline channel, please go and subscribe to VFX Pipeline channel, because here I'm going to upload more cool videos related to Blender, PyQt and PySide. So that will be a lot more things to learn for you guys. Let's just see our final product, what we are going to do. All right, so this is the Qt interface which I created inside Qt Designer, and this is just a camera controller. And in that camera controller, what we are going to do is that let me just preview this. So with that we can create camera. If you click here, this is the empty window only inside Qt Designer, so it's like it's not yet imported inside Blender. But the idea is we have this interface, and now we need to take this Qt UI inside Blender and connect all this spin box and the sliders with the actual Blender functionality. Let's see how it will work. So let me start the Blender 2.8. Here we go. This is my Blender, and the interface will be I put inside here. So here you can see that's VFX pipeline, correct? So if you click here, you see cam controller, and if you click on cam controller, here you go, you will see the Qt interface which we design here inside Qt Designer. And let me show you the code also. Don't worry, we will go each and every step one by one. I'm showing you the final product in the beginning, so you know what you are going to do. So this is the entire code of this. We take that UI, we convert that UI to UI to main.py. So this is our UI converted into Python, and then this is our main classes where we connect all this stuff, create camera, flip, blah blah blah, and then this is actually appear inside Blender. And how this is actually showing here, it's a kind of an add-on. I will show you that also here. So you go to edit, preferences, and if you go in the search box, type VFX. Not yet, so maybe it's here. Let's just go in the button with community. In the end here you can see this add-on, and if you see this, you can toggle on and off. So if you see, if I off this, now it's gone, and with this is on. So you can easily create a Qt interface, I mean a Qt application, and put it as a add-on. So whenever user want, they can actually turn it on. So it will appear here, and once they click, it will appear here. I think I open, yeah. So okay, so now let's just see the functionality, what this is actually doing. So let's just go inside the camera view, open the interface here, and with that we can actually select the camera. So let's just select the bottom. So you can see that we change the bottom, and also you can use the scroll. So actually go and change the camera, very easy, very convenient. So you change the front, so it's front. Now let's just come to the camera, it will show the camera. Now let's just add some background images here for any purpose. For example, you want to do some modeling or whatever. So let's just take one image here, and you can see this, the image has already appeared in the background of this. You can control the alpha. For example, let's say want to see more, or you want to make it opaque. So with that you can control the alpha gain, and also you can make it put it in front. So now this image is in the front, and let's just make the alpha more. So I mean, with using this interface, we are actually controlling the Blender camera. And it just for example or for a demonstration, I use this because I found this one is quite easy to actually explain you guys, like how you can talk to the Blender interface using Blender API and connect all this stuff. Okay, so with that I picked this camera, but that will applicable to every single thing in this. So you can make your own render setting, you can make your own custom rig controller, animation controller, FX controller, anything. Like we will cover all this one by one, since this is the first video, so I'm just want to make it as basic as possible. So as you can see here, this is the focal length that we are adjusting, and you can use flip, up, normal, down. You can do rotation, so it's like rotating, scaling the image, and also you can on and off based on if you don't want to see or if you want to see. And this is interesting because right now you see that we are zooming everything at once, but now let's say if you want to zoom the only the object, so we can lock the camera to view, and you can see this. Now we are actually locking the camera to view. So but why I picked this kind of a list widget here, and there is a reason, because in Blender you can add multiple images inside the image plane. So let's just add multiple image and try control that. So with that, now you see that I added multiple images here, and with that multiple images, let's just the first one is actually scaled up, so let's just scale down, so at least. So now you can see that we already scaled down, and the gain, alpha gain, we can play around with that for both images. Whatever you select, only the selected image will be affect with these controller. So all this thing we are going to see in this entire video series, where you guys can easily create some Qt interfaces for Blender, and you can just automate your workflow, create some awesome pipelines. Another interesting thing which actually I make me more excited about this is, you know, when this is a PySide window, then you can actually have the same interface for Maya, same interface for Houdini, same interface for Nuke. I mean, because these all softwares have native Qt support, PySide support, but for Blender it's not native PySide support. But we after making some tricks, we can actually achieve this PySide interface work inside Blender. I found on internet there are very less or limited resources on that, and that's why I decided to share my this window or the tool which I created uses PySide. So with that, the community will be grow, and you guys also do your experiment and share your knowledge with me, so we all can make some awesome VFX pipeline inside Blender software. So this is the pre-introduction of what we are going to have in this entire Blender PySide2 GUI development series. And without further delay, let's just go jump and see what is the first step that we need to do to actually start with PySide and Blender integration. Okay, so let's start with our development. So now let's just start with first the basic setup of how we can use PySide inside Blender. Let's just start Blender first, and just go to the scripting tab here on the top. Once you select the scripting tab, you see here in the console you will see that Blender is already comes with Python 3.70, which is interesting. But the one thing is the PySide is not installed by default inside Blender. So for example, if you just start Blender and you try import PySide2, and in my case I'm not seeing any error, but you definitely see that PySide2 module not found. Okay, so the reason is we need to actually install this PySide2 inside Blender, and how I did that, so I'm not seeing this error, I'm showing you that. So first thing is you need Blender 2.8, so just go and download Blender 2.8, and please just don't follow this if you're using Blender 2.7 or the old version than 2.80. If you're using 2.80 and above, then definitely it will be useful for you. And the reason, because I haven't tested in previous versions, so I'm not sure that whether this works or not. Okay, so let's just go and download the Blender version. Since I already downloaded, I'm not going to download again. And download Python 3.70 inside your system. And the reason why you need this because we need to download the package PySide2 through pip. So once you download this Python, then you just go start your command prompt and type Python. Oh, sorry, Python. Okay, so make sure you have Python 3.7 there, and then you can actually go exit and use pip install PySide2. So with pip install PySide2, you can actually get the PySide2 installed within your Python side packages folder. Okay, since I already have, I'm going to show you where it is, and all these commands you can actually get it from the description, so no need to worry. Let's just go and see my side packages, and I'm using virtual environments because that's very good for me and also for you also. So definitely whenever you are using Python, then it's good to use virtual environment. So here I have virtual environment, and inside virtual environment, if I go to libs side packages, and here you see that I have PySide2 and Shivoken2. This is all PySide2 related. So whenever you install PySide2, you already get all this stuff inside your side packages. So once you get that, all you have to do is you need to copy this and go to right now I'm using this inside Blender, but even Linux also it's working fine. I tested in Linux also, so no problem. So go to program files, your Blender and 2.80 Python lib and site packages, and just copy here. So here you see that I already copy all this PySide2 stuff here. So with that, now after copy, if you restart your Blender, now with that you are able to see your PySide2 there. This is one of the option which is I found this is working absolutely fine for me, and as you also can see that if I go there, VFX pipeline, cam controller, and I'm able to run the Qt interface without any problem. The only thing is you must have all PySide2 packages inside your Blender site packages and you are good to go. There's no other things that you need to do. Other ways, there is one more way, which is actually you can add the path in sys.environment, but I'm not sure that I did not do that because I found this one is easy for me, and it also works for fine for deployment also for me. Okay, but feel free to use any of your method, and also just share your knowledge with me also, like what is the best way to actually do this inside Blender. And to be honest, I'm not a Blender expert. This is my first attempt to do any Qt related interfaces inside Blender, but I really want to share whatever I used with you guys, so that's why I'm making this video. So I hope you will get some interesting from this video. Okay, so now with that we are having PySide2 inside Blender. Okay, so now our next step is to create add-on, so at least we have an empty shell inside here, and then we will start communicating with that. So in our next section we will see how we can create a add-on inside Blender. So I'll see you in my next session. Alright, so now we have PySide installed inside Blender, and let's proceed with creating interfaces. So I would recommend whenever you are doing some development work with Blender, you start Blender using your command prompt. And the reason is, if something goes wrong, you can actually see the error log in full detail. And this is one of the example, because just now I was doing something and I was getting error, and I can simply read my error inside the console. So it's a kind of a good practice which I follow, and you can also follow that. Okay, so let's just start it Blender and go to scripting tag, and here let's just take our interface inside Blender, because now we have PySide import PySide2. No error, so that means all good. Let's just take the interface. And you know what, when I was actually developing this tool or testing inside Blender, initially I was able to get my user interface very easily, and but there was one problem. So I want to show you first that, so at least you will get some idea about that. So I just recreated this situation here where I open the interface, and this is quite simple. I mean, this is the normal code which we see here. Even you can actually just take copy and paste it here. So here basically what I did is import PySide from PySide2, imported Qt widgets, and I just created a class, and in that class I just use Qt widgets.q dialog. And the reason is because this is a form, this is a dialog Q widget, not a main window, so that's why you should use this. And created a super setup UI and add a title. It's very simple, very basic. Okay, now let's just one more thing that I want to do here, and that is where it is, that is actually to add the path. Let's just add this paths also here. Okay, so we have the paths here. Now let's just run this, run script, and we have the interface here. No issue with that, right? This is our main Qt interface. Here you can see that all the UI elements are well functioning. It's okay, but you know what, this is not a good idea to actually put your main UI file here itself. So at least whenever you want to deploy or put it inside somewhere, and I mean when you want to deploy this with the flow with all artists, it's not a good way to actually do that. So what we can do is we can actually let me just clear this. So the code is there, and it's also not good for developing and maintaining also. So you can just separate your file and just run with this. So using this code, I'm able to run the same code here. So let me just copy paste here, and I'm just putting the add on my camera tool path inside my system path, and then after that I just using direct open, and I just rename my file to direct open here, and you can see here my file name is actually direct open. That's why it's I just use this, and this is not our final one, but I'm just showing you what is the problem with this. Okay, so now let's just run with this. Perfect, all good, working. I mean, we are having the interface, but the real problem with this is, let me just put it in a side. Okay, let me just run it again. Okay, so here is my UI, but now my Blender UI is freezed. I can't do anything inside Blender. All UI is freezed, and if I close this, then only I can able to select, zoom in, and also do whatever I want to do. But if my tool is open or any Qt PySide interface is open, then my UI will be freeze. So I just open this, and now I can't do anything. It's all freezed. Even if I can't edit, right? It's like, so that's the main big issue. I mean, yes, it is actually changing the camera attributes and all, everything is working fine, perfectly fine, no issue, but you are not seeing those changes in real time. So once you close this, then only the interface will update, and that's the problem which I face when I first did this tool. So what is the solution for that? Now we will see that. Let me just close this. So right now the working example that we have here, which is VFX pipeline cam controller, and this tool is open, and here also I'm fully able to use the Blender interface, as well as I'm able to show background image, load pictures, where is it, pictures. Okay, so I edit, show camera, top camera, and here you can see lock. So I mean, the idea, you already get it. With that, my UI is not freezed at all, and I'm able to run both interfaces parallelly. Perfect. So how are we going to do that? Now let's just clear this, and I hope you understand this way is not working for me, and even for you it will not work. So just clear that. And I just used I just created this just to show you, that is just for demo, so don't use this in yours. And run in Blender is also, I'm just removing because we are going to create add-ons. Okay, so now in our next session we will see what is the first steps that you should take for create a new add-on inside Blender for your PySide interface. Okay, so let's just jump to our next session. Alright, so this is the final section, and here we will see how we can actually create a add-on inside Blender 2.8 and how we can take our Qt interfaces or Qt GUI elements inside Blender and integrate with the Blender core functionality. Okay, so as we know that we have our sample demo application which is running here. Let me just close this Blender and start a fresh Blender for you. So let me just start this Blender here, and if we go click VFX pipeline cam controller, and here we go, we have opened there. Okay, let me just minimize that and go one by one with the code structure, what you should follow to do everything here. I'm not going to rewrite every single line here, but I will try to explain every single line in front of you because the code is already here. Okay, so first thing is you should import. What are the things? First thing is you should start with import BPY. That is the important one. OS is depends on what kind of things you are doing with your code, so that is actually optional, but this is completely mandatory. You have to import BPY and also the PySide library. Qt event loop, I will come in just a second because that is what make our UI works parallelly, so that is also good. Let's just first just see the UI class. So inside UI, these are all the methods that I use to populate this. I mean, select camera image, image depth, focal length, image rotate, Y, Z. So here you can see that create new camera. So this is the command for create new camera. Load camera. So that means we are going and getting the all scenes camera. And this is very interesting basically. And you want to see this. This is let's just go start Blender. You already have Blender. Okay, go to scripting tab, and you know, with whatever things that actually you want to get from Blender, you can get it through this way. Okay, like controls plus to see. So hey, you can see that the data which I want to see is all the camera inside the scenes. Okay, so that is actually we can get it through BPY data. So BPY, so my camera C equals to BPY dot data dot, okay, and then press C. And when you press C, that means it's a collection of something. So that means you can go and iterate through this. So for E in C, print C. And with that you will get complete list of all the camera inside the Blender, whatever scene that you are open here. So right now we have one, so let's just create another one. Add camera, and here you can see that now we have 3 camera. Okay, let's just go and change this to PC. Okay, and here you can see that now we have 3 cameras here. Okay, so you can also go and get some more information. For example, you can go and see their dot name. I found that is very interesting, and name is not there. So actually Blender also can suggest you. So how you can auto complete that? You can dot and press control and space, so that will give you the best possible things that you can actually query from that. So it will show you, okay, this is C, but C dot data, let's just see the data. So this is the blend data. So I mean, even with data, if you want to see, I don't want to lose you because I'm mixing the Blender API with this. So maybe we can have a separate video on Blender API where I can cover all this stuff. So let's just go back to our UI, because I'm sure that this is a really wide topic and I'm not sure that I'm going to cover in this video. So I mean, with that way, from bpy.data you can get all the list of all the camera, and with this I just iterate through this and put it inside my combo box, and here you can see inside this combo box I see all the list of cameras. And so camera 1, and if I create new camera, tuck 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 tuck, so there are many new cameras are also created. See here, 1 2 11, all these cameras are there. Perfect. So this is one thing, just to load camera, then create new camera is on click here, it's actually doing this, and create camera, how it's connecting, because I have this connect buttons here. So whenever I create camera, clicked, and it will execute this button options here, this method here. Okay, so the similar goes to everything. Let's just reveal one by one. So connect buttons is basically every single, this is, wait, okay, this is every single UI elements that we have here that is connecting with our interface through this connect button method. So here we just see that switch camera, whatever, whenever you change this to something else, the camera is switching. So because of that, switch camera, load camera, create new camera. And you can also see this code here. Whenever if you're looking for something, you can actually check that. Set focal length, so this is for setting the focal length. Set alpha gain, set rotation, set scale, set flip. And this all depends on what actually you want to do. Maybe I can give you some more interesting thing here, which is actually the set camera image. And whenever you want to set, when you say that load image, and it's open this file Q file dialog, and with that we are able to get the image name, and with that image name we are transferring to the bpy.data.camera. So with that we are actually setting the camera data, and this is really cool. I mean, this bpy dot data and bpy dot context, there are many ways to actually get the Blender scenes data to interact with your interfaces, Qt interfaces with that. Again, it is wide subject, and sure I will come up with some only API, Blender API related videos. So let's just move further. It's a load camera image, and this is what we have here. So if we have more camera images here, so this is the code for that, to get all the camera images here. Let's just add the images here, so you will get that. So images and images. So right now we have 2 images, and this is the function which is responsible for loading all these images here. Change selected images, whenever you click here, then the data is updating. Lock camera, which is this, so lock camera to view. And yeah, I mean, this is it for the UI connections. Okay, so this is our all this UI, how we populate the interface and how we change the stuff and connecting it that. So you get the idea about this is your main UI, Qt UI class. But now you need to create 2 others to actually take this. So I imagine that whatever your functionality, you will just put it here, and now other classes are responsible for to show, display your application inside the Blender software. So here, if you see here how this appear here, VFX pipeline, and how this button created here, and how we can create more buttons here, that's something very interesting. And that is this, we have the custom operator, and this is what is responsible for that. So let me just show you this side by side. So once you have your main function class here, which is your UI class, and then you create a custom window operator, and here you need to provide like a ID name and the label for your button which you want to show inside the 3D viewport here. So here we have cam controller, and that should be a screen custom window, and this is completely customizable, where you want to show your interface. Maybe you want to show inside these attributes, or maybe inside the top menu, or inside this menu. But I picked this because this is kind of more convenient, because since the outliner is here, the scene collection is here, so the camera tool, I can just put it here. So that's why. Okay, so let's just see this, what after that what will happen. So now you need to create a Qt panel for that, and this is where you see this the name VFX pipeline is coming here, is because of this you need to provide this BL label, BL space type view 3D, BL region type UI, and BL category VFX pipeline. And this is also same will visible inside when you go in edit, preferences, add-on, and when you go all the way to down, so you see that VFX pipeline and cam controller, and this is the setting which is responsible for that. So with that, what we understand so far, we have 3 classes here, we have 1 extra here, and the cam controller Qt panel here. Okay, now for Blender, whenever you create a new add-on, you must go with blender.util.register class. Because of that, your add-on will be appear inside the UI, and you can also use unregister also, and that is actually removed from your add-on list. But we don't want that every time user to come and select start again, and that's the reason we have init.py here. And this init.py, mostly inside Python development you can actually leave it blank, but inside Blender add-on this make more sense, because here you can put BL info, and there you can provide the information of the your add-on. So this is the information. You should provide the Blender version, the version of your application, which category you want to put in, and also don't forget to put the register and unregister. And with this, your application, if you put it inside, if you checked in, then automatically when the let me just show you preferences. So if this is checked, then our whenever you start Blender, automatically your tools will be loaded, and if somebody don't want, they can just simply uncheck that. So that's very convenient. Let's just go back here. So this is the init.py, that makes sure you should key in all this information there, and you can change the settings. You can change the, for example, I use cam tools, from cam tools import cam controller. In your case, this will be your package name, whatever the add-on name that you created, right? So now the final interesting thing here is how this everything is working is using this core. And with this core, all you have to do is, this core file is responsible for run the interface parallelly. So with that, our UI, the PySide UI, will not freeze the windows of Blender. Okay, so here if I go so inside the Qt window event loop, and that what we need to register with this, and also we actually put it inside our here. So when we create this custom window operator, and this custom window operator is basically our Q dialog, here we actually take this our Qt window event loop, which is coming from our core. And I know you might be going little off, because this is really kind of a complicated stuff, and but okay, let me just again simplify that. This is actually the Qt event loop is, you need to actually take put it inside the custom windows operator here, and with that what you can go inside this, and it will show you here. So this is actually a screen Qt event loop. Qt event loop is so you can see here the model, and here you have the execute operator, and it's basically running a app with a Qt widget application instance. And you can see this if not self.app, then it will use the Qt widget application sys.argument value. Okay, so this is the core file. You can easily get it the concept of what is actually they are using to create an event loop, and that event loop is passed through our main custom Windows operator, and then our Qt control panel is the one which is actually displaying our interface here. Okay, so with that we are able to use, let me just go and switch the camera. Okay, let me just create a new one here. So new, open the interface. Okay, load background image. Now we have this image here. Set the image plane full opaque. Okay, so with that our interface is somehow it's working with the Blender, and this is the first test, first experiment. I don't know whether it is completely correct or completely wrong, and I don't know what is the right way or wrong way to do this, because I don't found any tutorial on this topic. So that's why I just did some of the test, and this is somehow is working with this. Okay, so now whenever I get more time, I will go more deeper with this and create some more easy tutorial for you, but this is, at this moment, this is what I can share with you. And there are few more things, because to achieve this I found it's to know the API of Blender is very important, because you can't achieve things inside Blender custom tool development until you don't know the backend of something. For example, if you want to achieve like lock camera to view, so this is actually you can't just do, because you need to know in where this option exists inside your Blender window. So you go to Blender view and you see this lock camera to view, and then if you go and open, let me close this. Okay, so here you can see this. Using this click, actually we are manipulating this user interface. But interesting thing inside Blender is, if you go and hover on this option, you will see how you can actually access this data. So bpy.data.screen layout and lock camera. But again, the interesting thing is, there are many cases it's working perfectly fine to access the data like this bpy data.screen layout, but even in this case, the lock camera to view, it's not so straightforward. Even it took most of my time to get this, like even because it's completely new for me, so I don't know. So this one I will share you how I access this lock camera to view, and you can see this lock camera to view. Let's just go back to the code of this cam controller, open the UI class, lock camera, load camera, lock camera. So just to achieve that, actually I go through the window manager. I get all windows, then screen, and from the screen I go to select only view 3D area, and inside view 3D area, this is the entire recipe to go and achieve this part, this one single little tick. So but the possibility is there. It's not like something that Blender is holding you to not to develop anything. So there are a lot of cool possibilities to achieve this. So that's it for this video, and I will share my other next R&Ds with you guys. And another interesting topic for Blender will be the Blender APIs. Then soon I'm going to cover the Blender APIs tutorials inside the VFX Pipeline channel. So that's it for this video, and just you also do some R&D on Blender and share your R&Ds with me, so I will also learn from you. Okay, thank you guys, have a good day, bye bye.